Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to the 7th episode of our Two Birds, One Stone podcast.
Who are we interviewing today, Lila?
You gave it away. People didn't know we were going to interview someone.
I didn't realize it was supposed to be a surprise. Besides, we let people know we were interviewing someone last time.
Well, people forget. Now, I can't surprise them.
Tell them who it is, Lila.
Today's guest is someone you may know from Substack. She is watercolor artist, photographer, and poet, MaryAnne Bernardo.
She's the artist who painted the portrait of us.
Yes, and I think she captured me quite well.
If you mean she got you with your mouth open, you are correct.
I refuse to be offended by that. After all, I am the more interesting talent.
MaryAnne, welcome to our podcast. We are so excited to have you here.
Yes, we don't often have people who are still alive.
Lila.
Well, it's true.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Alive.
MaryAnne, some of your poetry talks about death and the feeling of remaining connected to someone who has passed.
That's how you start, talking about death?
Aren't you curious about how people see us, Lila?
Sorry, MaryAnne. Please share your thoughts so we can go on to talk about our portrait that you did for us.
Would you like to share how your loss has inspired your poetry?
Sure. So I lost both my parents in the same year, and I was their caregiver for probably 5 or 6 years prior, especially for my mother, a little bit less so for my father. But I was involved in my mother's rehabilitation, post-stroke, and having that relationship of caregiver, being the daughter, and having that relationship kind of flipped, where I was kind of doing the mothering or nurturing. I think what that did was it deepened the relationship that was already there. I was very fortunate to have parents that loved me, and there was no abuse in my home. I was taken care. All my needs were met. There was lots of laughter. There was an appreciation for music and art. And I suppose I was very lucky. So the deepening of that relationship through caregiving kind of had me mourning the mother that I had prior to the illness. So I mourned a loss with both my parents before they passed. But because I spent so much quality time with them, just being with them, having grown up in a loving home and like watching television with my parents and sitting around on Sunday morning and drinking coffee with them and talking about our week, and then being with them, especially with my mother during her recovery, where she was so vulnerable, which was something that I hadn't seen. Really, I saw another side of her, and that really deepened our relationship. So when she passed, I was glad that she was no longer suffering. So I think, as strange as it sounds, I felt a sense of relief. But because I spent so much time with her and with both my parents, and being a parent myself, I really don't feel that that bond is ever severed. So my mother's death allowed me to understand how spirit maybe shows itself in ways that I see, that I find meaningful, not in ways that other people may say. There are a lot of people that think that cardinals are their relatives. So there's all these sort of normalized signs of spirit that are out there. But for me, perhaps I'm thinking of my father in a truck goes by and it's got his name on it or something. That's something that I find meaning in. So it's very personal, and poetry has allowed me to process my grief in a way that is beautiful, that is healing, it sometimes is ugly as well. Uh, all the poems don't get shared, um, but art it allows for a healing. I think, you know, the same way that I'm also inspired by nature. So, yeah, I would. I think I've answered the question. I hope I haven't gone on too much,
That's
ladies.
beautiful, MaryAnne.
I see you post your poems on Instagram as well as Substack. One of the poems was inspired by a word prompt. Could you explain what that is and how it came about?
So there's a gentleman on Instagram. He is, I'll say his name is, he's at Ramrock Speaks. He's a young Jamaican-born Canadian, and he is very, very active in the community, poetry community on Instagram. And he's also on Substack. And he offers these word prompts. I think there are 8 words that he offers. And he just throws them out there. And I think it's a 72-hour window that you have. I actually just wrote one. He just did another one. And with these word prompts, I love it because if number one, when I look at the words, because none of them are really, I don't think that he puts words that are associate with one another. They're kind of very, very random. And for me, I guess I have a very creative brain. So as soon as I see the words right away, I start writing immediately. So oftentimes things that I write, I don't change. They're completely unedited. I let them go because I think it's important as an artist to be flawed because art is never perfect. There's no perfection in art. It is as it is. So I find all those prompts really inspiring. And I actually started a short story with a few of them. They kind of take me wherever. Yeah, so I do them all the time, and I encourage people to do them because I think when you are limited by some kind of confine, even though like writing sonnets isn't my favorite thing, and there's a certain form poetry that I find extremely challenging, um, I think it grows your ability as a writer and helps you harness your craft in ways that maybe you don't imagine. And it kind of it it gives you that freedom, you know, because all of a sudden there are words that mean something to me in certain ways, or maybe I make it fantastical. So I don't know which one in particular that you guys are referring to because I've written many of them. I've written to every single one he's put out.
So, if I gave you a few words, you could conjure up a poem for us?
Lila, I am
Probably.
sure it takes MaryAnne some time to think about what
Oh,
she will write.
This is easy. My words are Lila, beautiful, intelligent, funny, witty.
Lila, please.
Now don't go apologizing for me again. She does that, MaryAnne, just to make me look bad.
I noticed one of your poems is about a woman in her garden. Is that woman you?
hmm. I'm not sure which poem. Yes, it is probably me because I do love to garden. It is probably me, even though I don't know exactly which one you're referring to. If it's about a garden, it's either about me in the garden or my mother and me in the garden for sure. Yeah.
You mentioned the last day of her life when she knew what was coming. Can you tell us how you see death?
Now, who is being morbid?
I am curious. Aren't you? Go ahead, MaryAnne.
How I see death. I don't see it as the end. Uh, because we all know that we're energetic beings, and so energy can never die. I see it as a passage. And I think because we are so attached to our bodies in this limited life, and we put so much importance on them. All of the marketing directed at anti-aging, and especially for women, women of my age. I think death is a transformation, and I mean, none of us really can know because it's something that is unknown, but it's kind of the common denominator, and there's no getting away from it. So I think because we know we die, we should live joyfully and not worry so much about the end of our lives, or is someone going to remember us? What difference will it make? We won't be here. Um, so yeah, I do think that there is a spiritual side of us as humans that we tend to forget about because there's very little value put on that. So I think that when we pass, maybe our body drops and then we're free in our spirit.
What was your inspiration for your poem, The Recesses of the Pines?
Oh my God. I have to think about the poem. I have to think about, can you read me the poem? I
I
have to think
can.
about it.
I can read it. These gathered hives of silence, sectioning sounds swollen with the restlessness of an untilled love. This body fenced by lassitude, the clay imprint of your face, carved in worried task. You are the scourge and the settling, the brine and the mercury, a calligraphy bound to the bitter taste of split rivers. I am askew on the fringes of your next thought, an area left by the bird in the recesses of the pines.
So the question was,
What was your inspiration for your poem, The Recesses of the Pines?
I think that poem was about being forgotten and how sometimes we can fall into, well, I can, a sort of self-pity. Where so badly we want someone to validate us, to see us for who we think or what we think has value, when inherently, by virtue of being born, we are very valuable. So it's almost that in that poem, I'm talking about myself, but I'm using a third person. And because I really see the natural world as a balm, as medicinal, more than anything, going out in the morning, going into the forest, taking my shoes off and feeling the earth beneath my feet, kind of makes me realize how infinitely small I am, how vast everything else is, and how all of this need for importance is it's a waste of time. So it's very self-reflective, that poem, and sometimes I will do that where I will write about myself and put myself in the poem, but I'll also put myself in the poem as somebody else. So there is, when I first started writing, I used to mask a lot, and I think a lot of young writers do that, where and I would use a lot of metaphor that you couldn't really see through. And I do like writing surreal poetry. I have a surreal book of poetry I wrote with two other female poets from the United States. I do love that. I do love the automatic writing and all of that. But as I've continued to write over the years, um, and become more comfortable with who I am, my writing is cleaner. But sometimes I like to use a lot of flourish and a lot of images because I think it allows people to go somewhere within themselves as well. So maybe sometimes it's not about me.
Tell us about your mother who minced her meat and not her words. I love that line.
She was extreme. I actually really love that line too, and I will say that, and it's not often that I do say that. So I was raised by an Italian woman, and there were a lot of meatballs, and there was a lot of a lot of me helping her and making them. And she was when I say she minced her meat, not her words. She was a very very direct person. Um, and post stroke, there was no filter. So there was very little filter before, but there was zero filter after. Sometimes it was to her own detriment, like I remember being embarrassed a couple of times with her. But she had, both my parents had a very good ability to judge someone's character. Not that they were judgy, but they sort of knew who was good and who was bad for me. And you always knew when my mother didn't like one of my friends, she did not hide it, and she didn't make it easy for me. And she was right every single time. So she really did have my interests, my best interests at heart. It was never about her. I think, especially when you're a teenager, being a mother to teens myself, you often think, they want to control you, but that wasn't the case at all. She was always in my corner. But it sometimes takes many years to realize that.
I have a question, and you don't have to answer it if it hurts too much. Do you ever feel her near, coming to you in a dream or when you are in your garden?
Yeah, I actually feel her laughing at me a lot because laughter, but in a fun way, laughter was a very big part of our life at home. She was a joker. My father was too. Actually, we're all born under the Chinese monkey star sign, the horoscope, all three of us, even though they're born in 32 and I'm born in 68. We are the same. And so there was always a lot of ribbing and laughter. So I feel her smiling at me. And sometimes we have the exact same voice. So sometimes when I speak, this is very, very haunting. I'll say something and I'll hear her. It's her voice. Even though it sounds absolutely bonkers, even though it's my voice, it's her. And it will be something that she would have said. And when I was younger, I don't think I resembled her so much. But as I got a little bit older, when I was in my 40s and stuff, sometimes my siblings would just look at me and say, "Oh my God, you look just like mom." But I find that with anyone, everybody knows this. Sometimes you look like your mom, sometimes you look like your dad. And as you get older, and then maybe you look like your aunt, maybe you look like your grandmother. It's the genetics that fall through. Yeah, so I do feel her around a lot. And when I was struggling at a time, I had many dreams of her. And in those dreams, she never spoke, but she was looking at me, and she looked like unhappy, but not like she was unhappy with me. She was unhappy for me. So yeah, I feel her around an awful lot. And you realize when someone passes that it's not the big moments that you remember. It's always the small moments when coming home from work, and she would already be home, and there would, even though she worked 9 to 5, there was always homemade food. There'd be a steamy screen door in the winter, and I would walk in and smell that stew. And I still practice some of the traditions. I bake some things that she made just so I can have those scents, so I can be taken back to that time when that cooking was really an expression of love. Especially in Italian culture, food is very, very central.
Wow.
Can we talk about your paintings now?
Lila, your timing is despicable.
Don't you want to know? I'm sorry for my sister MaryAnne. She thinks that just because she popped out first, she can boss me around.
MaryAnne, have you thought about putting your paintings and poems in a book?
Ooh, what a great idea. I thought of that too, but she has to show off.
MaryAnne, please jump in here so my sister stays quiet.
Okay, I actually thought of doing this with my photography a long time ago, but it's very expensive to print a book with good quality photographs of either paintings or photography. And that's kind of what's kept me back, because artistry in Canada is not supported in the same way that it is maybe, let's say, in Ireland, where poets are traveling around and getting paid to do endorsements on whiskey and stuff like this. It's basically a financial limitation that has stopped me from doing it. I have thought of it. And actually, there is an American poet. Her name is it Edna St. Vincent Millay? I think is her name. And she had put out a beautiful book, almost like, I guess, what you would call a coffee table book, with her poems, and it was another gentleman's photography. And I absolutely love that book. So it is something that I have thought about, but it really is, financial constraints are kind of everything right now. If a bunch of money was thrown at me, I probably would do it. So if anyone would like to support me, and I'm not really, I'm not the artist that is the self-promoter. I know some artists are fine up front, selling themselves. I like to be in my little room and creating, and I like to give it to somebody else to do it, because I'm really not that comfortable with that, because it's a reward in itself, creating. So I think, I don't know what it is about that. I am really trying to move through that and think about it a little bit differently. But so far, no. We'll see. Maybe in the future. You never know. I would like to do that.
Let's talk about your owls. You make them look so cute. But MaryAnne, they are not our friends.
That is one disadvantage of appearing as crows. We have our enemies.
Why owls, MaryAnne?
Well, I wish I could remember right now. But owls are the feminine god. I forget her name now. I can't remember. I wish I could remember. Owls to me are mysterious. And the fact that they can turn their heads completely around. If you ever see an owl in flight and their wingspan is vertical up and down, but their head is kind of like on the side, I find them to be magical and intriguing. And you don't see them here in Toronto where I live in High Park. There is an owl sanctuary that you can go to and you can see them, but it's not easy. And I think the mystery and I think the magic in my own mind, and they are seen as wise birds, and birds are inherently more a feminine symbol. Um, I kind of see them as guides, and as these kind of fortresses, let's say in the forest, that were there long ago. And I actually would. It's interesting because at certain times I'll be drawn to certain animals. The other night, I was thinking about a moose. I don't know why. So, and the next day, yesterday, I painted a moose. I have no idea why. But often when I paint an animal, I will go and kind of look at what that animal means, and that'll take me somewhere. And usually it is very meaningful because I think whatever I paint, it's very intuitive. Painting, poetry, I think I see them all as healing arts. And I suppose that maybe there's something about owls that is calling me in some way.
Athena?
Maybe,
Is that the
yes,
goddess?
yes, it is Athena. Yeah, that is the goddess. Yes.
You also paint cows and horses. What animals do you like to paint the most?
Oh, that is really a difficult question. I think there is, even though farmers have told me that cows aren't so gentle, that they can be, uh, very sassy and have really, really strong characters. I think it's something about their eyes, and the same with horses, that draws me. And I mean, owls as well. So if, as they say, spirit is seen through the eyes, maybe there's some kind of a spirit that is calling me through the eyes of these animals. I would have to say it's a toss up between a cow and a horse, although I do love painting owls now as well. But really it's different on any given day. It's however I feel. And it's kind of like what comes to me. All of my art is intuitive expression, 1000%.
We are just about out of time, MaryAnne. What would you like to add? We are just about out of time, Mary.
What would I like to add? I would hope that people are inspired to try to write, to try to paint, dance, or sing. I think because now, in the world that we live in, we need art more than ever. So if anything that I write or anything that I paint or anything that I read inspires someone to do the same, then that is a reward in itself, that I'm completely happy. I will die a happy person knowing that I have inspired someone to create something.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I don't know about my sister, but I have enjoyed this a lot.
I hope I didn't talk too much.
Not at all.
Okay.
So, what did you think of that experience?
It was great. I really enjoyed it. Your questions were really great.
So I have the ladies to thank for that.
Well, that was wonderful. Please visit MaryAnne's Substack and check out her posts on Instagram.
Goodbye, Lila. Lila? Goodbye, everyone.